And I had one question which follows an anecdote. As the Mayor knows, I do ride buses from time to time up the front of the bus. I was on a very hot 259 from King's Cross to Finsbury Park last week. And well done to the driver for a number of reasons. Well done because it was really hot on that bus. But as we went down Caledonian Road, a pedestrian emerged from the footpath, looked right into the direction of traffic that was coming to their right, but ignored the fact that there was a bus coming from the left. And the driver did very well to avoid a collision with that pedestrian. They both kind of realised that they were going to collide, and the driver stopped in good order. And it just made me look at the Vision Zero action plan and went, well, what would actually have stopped that in the Vision Zero action plan? I know we've got a 20-mile-an-hour limit down Caledonian Road. I know we've dealt with the streetscape. But it took me back to my earlier days of being a school person, a member of the Tufty Club, reading my Green Cross code, and just made me wonder, what were we doing about that sort of thing? And when I reread the Vision Zero action plan, I couldn't quite find that. So the question is, what would we do to prevent that type of collision in the future? Thanks.
The first, thank you again for the recognition for Lily and for the comments. And if you can give us the specifics, we'll make sure that the bus driver of the Route 259 that you're on, will make sure they get recognised for their actions, because we have to recognise, whilst there are always, unfortunately, some incidents and collisions, far more are avoided because of the expertise and professionalism of the bus driving community. And we are doing a lot around, obviously, trying to avoid collisions in the first place, but equally, we have to assume that collisions are potentially going to happen, and therefore even more focus around if the bus is involved in a collision, how can the bus reduce the impact of that? And Claire, I don't know if you want to touch on that. And also perhaps at the same time cover Jim's question around air conditioning and designer buses going forward as well.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Thanks, Peter. So in terms of what could be done differently, in part of Bus Safety Standard 2, there's two things. So first of all, well, Bus Safety Standard 1 has got a front-end redesign of the bus, which I think you're aware of. So if there had been a collision with that pedestrian, the risk of somebody being pulled under is now reduced dramatically, and that's the statistic that Andy was talking about earlier. The reduction since the bus safety standard has come in is proving, positive. But autonomous emergency braking is something that we're having fitted to buses, and I was at Millbrook last month where we launched Bus Safety Standard 2. And to see 3 different bus manufacturers showing the ability of the bus to brake if somebody steps out was really impressive. And actually what we're trying to tweak now is the rate at which that braking occurs, so that obviously it doesn't throw the passengers within the bus forward as the bus stops. So it's quite a delicate and difficult thing to do, but the manufacturers are really coming on board to do that. So I think as we move forward and new buses have this fitted, it's going to make a massive difference. Obviously it's not going to happen overnight, but it will make a difference. So that will certainly help. But to Andy's point, we need to make the impact lesser on the individual. So that's part of the first phase.
Lily, would you like to give some more background?
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, both Peter, for your comments and Keith for the questions around Vision Zero. So, just building on what you've said, Andy, London does continue to make really, really good progress, and it's due to the delivery of a system. So first of all, just to reassure you, behaviour and education is part of that system. Indeed, there's absolutely amazing work that goes on through the London Transport Museum, engaging with almost all primary schools in London and a vast majority of the secondary schools as well, giving that kind of basic road safety education that we're talking about how to navigate the road network safely, completely based on key stage education and very much welcomed by the educational institutes that they work with. So that basic education is there. Is there a need to do more? Absolutely. And in fact, I know that Will is running a strategic workshop with your team, Alex, this week on how do we actually really get into that psychology of cyclist behaviour in particular. So it's an ongoing challenge, but relevant to all road users. I mean, I think behaviour is really important. We just need to recognise when we get into the detail and we look at how the collisions happen, 66% of the vehicles involved are cars. So all of the actions that we take around reducing car use and reducing car speed is the most important system-wide change that we will make. And that just takes me quickly on to your second point was, are we plateauing? Is it slowing down? To a degree, some elements are slowing down, but there's actually a change in who's being injured. So as there's more and more people cycling, don't forget that cycling increased by 12% just in 1 year last year, that we are seeing more people injured, but the rate of injury per every journey is actually still reducing. So long story short, actually a lot of changes have been delivered particularly in central and inner London. There is still a lot to go at in outer London with reducing speed limits. There's at least 12 boroughs who don't have 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. That would be a system-wide change that would really progress in quite a big leap forward in terms of safety, as well as some of the other changing road space type schemes that we do. I mean, Oxford Streets can be a great road safety scheme as well as a great scheme for other reasons. So I'm completely confident that we continue to make progress, but it all needs to be driven by the data and really understanding where it's increasing, where it's reducing, and the geographical spread as well.